Natural Disaster Survival, a game where, you guessed it, try to survive natural disasters. The game has 13 deadly disasters that you must try to survive, and if you do, you get a point in the leaderboard. With 13 disasters, some are going to be more fun than others. With this, I plan to rank all 13 disasters from most fun to least fun, and this is going to be based on using no game passes and no multiple disasters. If you find this content enjoyable, make sure you subscribe because we're going to do something else kind of like this for other games. With that being said, let's get right into it. Kicking off our list, dead last, number 13. Is anyone really surprised that Sandstorm is last place? Like, this one is genuinely so boring. It feels like you have nothing to do here. There's nothing interesting going on. The strategy to win is literally staying in the one spot that allows you to dodge the obstacles. Like, genuinely, I did not move from this spot the entire time. I took no damage and I won the game. Like, when I get this minigame, sometimes I straight up just die because there's just no point in me playing it. It's actually so boring. You do nothing for half the time. It feels like just such a nothing inclusion. It felt like they were just trying to be quirky to include something like this. I mean, how many of you guys have actually experienced a sandstorm in real life? Easy last place.
I think we should keep our voices down. We might start an avalanche.
I think the avalanche in this game is probably the easiest disaster to survive. Because the snow falls downward, if you just stand behind the rocks, there is literally no way for you to die. The only reason why I will place this over sandstorm is because sometimes snow can actually fall behind and you have to make one input to dodge. I think an avalanche is also more common in real life most likely, but the way that it was input in the game kind of destroys its whole purpose. If the mountain didn't spot at the very beginning, this would actually be very fun. Because it does, you can just cheese it, and that makes it pretty bad. Oh look, it's just the ice version of the sandstorm. Not gonna lie, I don't really understand how this one works. I know that if you're like in the open, you take damage. So if you're in a really open map, then that's not fun. How that guy is alive is kind of beyond me. He's outside, he's not taking any damage from it. Meanwhile, I'm indoors and I've lost all my health. He's literally outside, he's not taking any damage? Say you swear. But if you close your eyes, the volcano eruption would be fun if there wasn't an easily cheesable method for it. Like, I understand that you don't have to go up to the volcano, but like, if it's here and it's an easy thing to do, why wouldn't you do it? And I think the worst part about it is that this seems like an easy fix. Just put the volcano further away so you can't go up to it, then increase the distance of the eruption, and I feel like you have a fine disaster, but for whatever reason, this easily cheesable method exists, and it's a shame. I feel like Acid Rain is one of the most forgettable disasters in this game. Like, it's not terrible, and it's not necessarily the most fun thing ever. I think this can be elevated if there's more disasters in it, or if the map kind of makes it work. But really, are any of you guys actually like excited to play Acid Rain? Aside from like the occasional roof caving in because of the acid, you're really just standing there into a safe spot to make sure you don't die. It doesn't really have a whole lot going for it. I think it's a unique idea, and it does exist in real life, and it's fine. It's just in execution, you find yourself standing in the same few spots.
Fire, 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 fire!
Seeing a fire in this game when I first played this was a little surprising. I mean, I guess wildfires exist in real life, but this seems just like a normal standard fire, and it doesn't really fall into what I would consider a natural disaster. Now, I think it's a good disaster if the map is kind of enclosed and small, but when you play on an open map, this seems just so easy to avoid. Literally, I just stood here this whole time, and it didn't come anywhere near me. I feel like if this was a wildfire and the map was actually enclosed with fire and it came in, you had to dodge it like that, that'd be a lot more interesting, but because of the way that it's set up, this is really easy to avoid. I mean, literally half the map doesn't have anything going on. Earthquake is one of those disasters that is pretty much dependent on the actual map that you get. If you get a map that doesn't have a lot of buildings, then Earthquake is probably pretty easy to survive, considering the only way you die in this mode is getting hit by other objects. Side note, if you get multiple disasters and Earthquake is one of them, you're probably dead, especially if it's a tsunami. I like this one because it kind of requires focus. You can't be close to the buildings, you have to actually avoid things, though it can be a little unfair sometimes just taking damage for no reason, it feels like. But in the end, it's more stimulating and much more fun. You actually have to like pay attention, which is not true for a lot of the other disasters.
Was lightning before the thunder?
Ah yes, the thunderstorm. A very common occurrence in the south of the United States in the summer. This is probably the most luck-based disaster in the entire game. It says to avoid high and open places. Now imagine a map like this where there's only high and open places. I like this one because it's thrilling. You never know when you're gonna die because the lightning strike could happen anywhere, and it could strike at any point wherever you're standing. Whoa! Whoa! What? I just fell over and died. Flash flood is one of those that I'm surprised is actually kind of difficult. It seems very simple on the surface. Get the high ground and you survive. But the problem becomes when you're on a less sturdy map. In this example, I'm on the house, but as you can see, the flood actually continues to rise beyond where I can stand. And actually, for some reason I suck at getting up to structures, I can't make this ladder jump and I end up drowning. And also, this house ended up going down anyway, so like, there's a good chance that you would have died no matter what here. Need I bring up Arch Park again? If you get it on this map, you're done. Tsunami might be the hardest disaster to survive for just a lot of horrible reasons. For example, this wave is absolutely gigantic. Look at the size of this thing. It says get to higher ground, but if you take a look at this high ground right here, this is not going to survive the tsunami by any stretch. And if your building collapses, how are you supposed to survive? The tsunami is so big and fall damage is so much that you can't escape this wave. I mean, if you want to try to jump over the wave, be my guest, but good luck. Do I even have to say it? Hey guys, look, it's a dinosaur's nightmare. Funnily enough, I feel like I shouldn't have placed it this high. It feels like I made this list in like 16 seconds. But at the end of the day, you actually have to be aware of this one. You have to pay attention. You have to actually move around so you don't get hit. I feel like a ninja trying to play this one, like actually dodging the meteors. Even though it's not hard to do and half the time the meteors don't even fall into your area, it's just cool. Now, why did I place it at number 3? I don't know, but it's here. I mean, it has aura, I guess, and that's really about it.
Coronavirus!
Deadly virus is the only disaster in the game that actually starts with people. Basically, someone is infected and they try to spread their disease to other people, which they also get infected, and then it just keeps going. It pretty much turns into this game of tag, and I find that really funny considering this is the only disaster that's like that. It makes this very engaging because you actually have to be aware of other people and not just some random thing that's easy to dodge. I also kind of confused on how this starts. Does it start with some random person? And if so, is that person that starts off with it just automatically dead? Like, how does that work? Also, this came out in like 2020 during the pandemic, so it could have been a little insensitive to include this so early on, but I don't personally have a problem with it. And I would say this is the best disaster, aside from number 1. The tornado is my personal favorite disaster in natural disaster survival. The tornado, in my mind, is what I think of first when I think of natural disasters, partially because I have like an inherent fear of them. When I was a little bit younger, I used to constantly have dreams of my house being swept away by a tornado. All that aside, I enjoy tornado because the tornado is sporadic. It can go any direction at any time, and you have to be very careful and very aware of what it does. Also, if you're on a map that's kind of enclosed and with a lot of buildings, then all the objects and projectiles will cause your downfall as well, and you have to be aware of dodging all of that too, which I think is another nice element to it. Also, the way you die by the tornado in most cases is your body is getting completely flung across the map, and I just can't be upset dying to that. For me, the engagement factor is what takes this number 1, and I enjoy it more than pretty much every other disaster in the game. Alright, so that'll do it with my ranking. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you. Secondly, let me know what your ranking is on all the disasters. My ranking was pretty inconsistent, I'll admit, but at the end of the day, this is my ranking, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. I plan to do this for other games, but if you have other suggestions, let me know. Also, I do have another channel that I have a little bit more content on a different game, so if you want to see that, check that out, link in the description. But I hope you enjoyed my lackluster opinions, and if you did, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.